Hello and welcome to CVR News Network. You're watching CVR English and these are the details of the World 360 with me, Sandeep. More than 100 people have been injured in a wildfire which has rapidly burned through 1,700 acres of the land as it reaches the edge of the Marseilles, France's second largest city by population. One building was destroyed and 10 damaged. Dozens of residents were evacuated while others were urged to stay indoors and off the roads. Benoit Payan, the city's mayor, likened this to guerrilla warfare.
C'est où? Là à gauche. À gauche, c'est où?
Avec beaucoup d'attention par les pompiers et la préfecture des Bouches-du-Rhône qui a repris la main sur la situation.
Et nous sommes en direct avec Eric Bocardi, porte-parole des sapeurs-pompiers.
President Donald Trump criticized a reporter who asked about the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, questioning why there was any buzz around the disgraced financier. Just one day after the Justice Department revealed that there was no client list. When confronted with a question about Epstein during a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, the president paused, expressing disbelief that people are still talking about this creep.
Whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency, the former labor secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of his death?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey,
I
Pam,
could,
could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems...
Whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency.
An individual using an artificially generated voice to impersonate Secretary of State Marco Rubio contacted 3 foreign ministers and 2 U.S. officials last month, pretending to be the top U.S. diplomat. According to a diplomatic cable seen by Reuters on Tuesday, July 8th, in mid-June, the person contacted the ministers, a U.S. governor, and the members of Congress via the Signal messaging app and left voicemail for the 2 of them. The cable sent. In one instance, a text message was sent to invite the targeted person to communicate the signal. The actor likely aimed to manipulate targeted individuals using AI-generated text and voice messages with the goal of gaining access to information or accounts, the cable said.
The State Department, of course, is aware of this incident and is currently monitoring and addressing the matter. The department takes seriously its responsibility to safeguard its information and continuously takes steps to improve the department's cybersecurity posture to prevent future incidents. For security reasons, we do not have any further details to provide at this time. The State Department, of course, when we think about the reports that have occurred, and the details that we would like to provide become problematic, obviously, when it comes to investigations and the nature of the actions that we're taking. So that's what I have for you right now.
Well, can you say anything, can you tell the American people that there was no damage, no violation of security?
Yeah, I will not, whether that's the case or not, go into any of the details. This, of course, is the State Department. It's the United States government. We live in a technological age that we are well enmeshed in, and I'll leave it at that. But when there is something to report, everyone here will hear it first.
Allies and adversaries through this AI mechanism.
We're not at a point here where I will discuss or portray what actions are being taken or his reaction. The Secretary, great news is, of course, he is very transparent, quite transparent, and he's direct with everyone. I think that any description of his reaction, of course, belongs to him, and I would suspect that at some point we'll have that for you. The State Department, of course, is aware of this incident and is currently monitoring and addressing the matter. The department takes seriously its responsibility to safeguard its information and continuously takes steps to improve the department's cybersecurity posture to prevent future incidents. For security reasons, we
The confrontation erupted between Palestinian villagers and Israeli settlers near the West Bank village on Sa'ar on Tuesday. Video showed masked settlers with picks, sticks, and Palestinians hurling the stones.
Shalom. سلام بدي عربي احنا منطقة حمامود المصوصين هجموا علينا على البيت
Israeli military operations in the occupied West Bank are triggering a surge of displacement, with entire Palestinian communities abandoning their homes under escalating pressure. In what some residents are now calling a ghost camp, local structures stand empty, belongings left behind as the Israeli military intensifies its security campaign across the region. Dozens of Palestinians, including children, were killed in a devastating Israeli airstrike on Khan Yunis. Grief-stricken families gathered to mourn their loved ones, many of whom died while seeking shelter from the ongoing bombardment. Hospitals are overwhelmed and humanitarian crisis deepens as strikes continue across the Gaza Strip. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu returned to the White House on Tuesday for his second meeting in 2 days with U.S. President Donald Trump, focusing on the Gaza ceasefire and hostage release negotiations. Following a private Oval Office session, Netanyahu held a brief discussion with Vice President J.D. Vance. Israeli and U.S. officials signaled progress toward a 60-day truce with Qatari mediators involved. Netanyahu praised the unprecedented U.S.-Israel coordination, while stressed that military objectives remain unfinished.
קיימתי היום פגישה נוספת עם הנשיא טראמפ בבית הלבן, ואחר כך פגישה קצרה עם סגן הנשיא ונץ. אנחנו התמקדנו במאמצים לשחרור חטופינו. אנחנו לא מרפים מזה לרגע, וזה מתאפשר בגלל הלחץ הצבאי שמפעילים חיילינו הגיבורים. לצערי המאמץ הזה גובה מאיתנו מחירים כואבים של נפילת טובי בנינו, אבל אנחנו נחושים להשיג את כל יעדינו, שחרור כל חטופינו, החיים והחללים כאחד, חיסול היכולות הצבאיות והשלטוניות של החמאס, ועל ידי כך להבטיח שעזה לא תהווה יותר איום על ישראל. אנחנו גם שוחחנו על ההשלכות והאפשרויות של הניצחון הגדול שהשגנו על איראן. נפתחות כאן הזדמנויות להרחבת מעגל השלום, הרחבת הסכמי אברהם, אנחנו עובדים על זה במלוא המרץ. ואני גם הבאתי לנשיא טראמפ את הערכה שלכם, אזרחי ישראל, על התמיכה בנו, על הפעולה הנחושה שהוא נקט, ועל המאמץ המשותף שאנחנו עושים היום להביא עתיד גדול למזרח התיכון, ועתיד... קיימתי היום פגישה נוספת עם הנשיא טראמפ בבית הלבן, ואחר כך פגישה קצרה עם...
At the end of Tuesday's cabinet meeting, President Donald Trump delivered an impromptu design tour of the newly revamped cabinet room. He highlighted fresh beige paint, ornate light fixtures with medallions, drapers, and meticulously chosen portraits of past presidents, selected as much for their frames as their subjects. Trump joked about relocating a grandfather clock from the State Department and polled his cabinet on adding gold leaf crown molding. His home renovation enthusiasm blended decor flair with executive power.
You know, we spent a lot of time, effort, very little money on this room. This is called the cabinet room. It's been here for a long time. And I actually spent time in the vaults. The vaults are where we have a lot of great pictures and artwork. And I picked it all myself. I'm very proud of it. That's Andrew Jackson, great Andrew Jackson. That's a gentleman named, and we call him President Polk. He was sort of a real estate guy. And then you have Dwight Eisenhower, who was a very underrated president. He built the interstate system, and he was the toughest president, I guess, until we came along. Over there is Honest Abe Lincoln, and that picture was in his bedroom. Then we got the drapes, so we got the whole thing. We got new drapes. We got new. Wasn't a big expense, very small. You see see the top line moldings, and the only question is, do you go lift it? Because you can't paint it. If you paint it, it won't look good. Because we spent a lot of time, effort, very little money on this room. This is called the cabinet room. It's been here for a long time, and I actually spent time in the vaults. The vaults are where we have a lot of great pictures and artwork. And I picked it all myself. I'm very proud of it. That's Andrew Jackson, great Andrew Jackson. That's a gentleman named, and we call him President Polk. He was sort of a...
Torrential rains triggered flash floods in New Mexico that killed at least 3 people on Tuesday, including 2 young children, and trapped dozens in homes and vehicles in resort village of Rudiso, a state emergency official and a village statement said. The children aged 4 and 7 years old and a man were swept downstream and later found dead, the mountain resort villagers said late Tuesday on its website, adding the rescue operations were underway.
Uh-oh, there comes the house.
Oh my gosh, y'all look.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude.
Oh.
God.
The other side of that one right there.
Uh-huh. gosh, y'all, look.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
A video released on Tuesday by the Ansar Allah media office, the Houthi rebels' media arm, showed what it said was militants boarding a vessel as well as the explosions on the ship, sending black smoke into the air.
Delta 5, Golf Papa 6. The vessel needs immediately assistance. Mayday, mayday, mayday. What type of assistance you need? Rescue. The vessel will be abandoned. I need rescue for my crew. The vessel was hit by Houthis and will be sunk. Delta 5, Golf Papa 6. The vessel needs immediately assistance. Mayday, mayday, mayday. What type of assistance you need? Rescue. The vessel will be abandoned. I need rescue for my crew. The vessel was hit by Houthis and will be sunk.
Disgraced former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol arrived in court on Wednesday for a hearing to review a special prosecutor's request for his arrest on charges related to his brief imposition of martial law in December.
김상민 검사 통해서 김건희 국정농단까지 했는 거 그거 인정하십니까? 단순 사과를 하지 않으십니까? 김상민 검사 통해서 김건희 씨 국정농단까지 했는 거 인정하십니까?
President Trump has reiterated he is not happy with President Putin. We get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, he told a meeting with cabinet officials at the White House. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless. He also urged Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Defense Secretary, to push contractors to increase their production of armaments. It was unclear if he meant interceptor missiles for the president or the U.S. Patriot air defense missiles that Kiev uses to shoot down Russian ballistic missiles.
We're not happy with Putin. I'm not happy with Putin. I can tell you that much right now, because he's killing a lot of people. And a lot of them are his soldiers and their soldiers, mostly. And it's now up to 7,000 a week. And I'm not happy with Putin. We get a lot of thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Do you want to sanction him? Lindsey Graham has a sanctions bill on Russia. Do you want him to move
I'm looking at it, yeah, no, I'm looking. The Senate is passed a very, very tough sanctions bill. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
And you'd sign that?
It's an optional bill. It's totally at my option. They passed it totally at my option, and to terminate totally at my option. And I'm looking at it very strongly.
Last week, the Pentagon paused some shipments of weapons to Ukraine. Did you approve of that pause?
We want to put defensive weapons because Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people. So we're sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that.
So
We're not happy with Putin. I'm not happy with Putin. I can tell you that much right now, because he's killing a lot of people. And a lot of them are his soldiers and their soldiers, mostly. And it's now up to 7,000 a week.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has announced fresh sanctions against China and ordered an immediate intensification of contacts with the United States to resume critical arms deliveries, as Kiev faces mounting pressure on the battlefield. The move signals growing frustration in Ukraine over delays in Western military support and what officials call China's deepening ties with Russia. Zelensky emphasized the need for uninterrupted U.S. supplies of long-range and precision weapons, calling them essential for Ukraine's defense. The new sanctions target Chinese companies and individuals accused of helping Russia bypass global restrictions. Meanwhile, Ukrainian diplomats are reportedly holding urgent meetings with U.S. counterparts to ensure a steady flow of weapons.
Сьогодні провів нараду з нашим військовим командуванням, головком, Генштаб, Міністерство оборони, також Служба безпеки України щодо ситуації на фронті і наших операцій, у тому числі на російській території. Я вдячний всім підрозділам Сил оборони, Служби безпеки України, наших розвідок за результати утиску на окупанта у блокуванні російської логістики. Сьогодні ж доручив міністру оборони України та головкому активізувати всі контакти з американською стороною. Ми маємо зараз необхідні політичні заяви та рішення, і потрібно їх якнайшвидше реалізувати для захисту наших людей, для захисту наших позицій. Передусім це стосується протиповітряної оборони, а також всіх інших елементів постачання від Америки. Критичне постачання, від якого залежить порятунок життів наших людей, захист українських міст і сіл. Очікую результатів цих контактів вже найближчим часом і, зокрема, цього тижня готуємо формати зустрічі.
The devastating floods in Texas have claimed 104 lives so far, making it one of the deadliest flood disasters in the state's recent history. Torrential rains and rising river levels have led to widespread destruction across the multiple counties. Rescue operations are still underway, with emergency teams searching for missing persons. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has extended his heartfelt condolences to the victims' families and praised the efforts of first responders. As water levels slowly recede, questions are being raised about the infrastructure readiness, evacuation alerts, and climate resilience in the United States. King Charles III has spoken of the deepening cooperation between the UK and France that will protect against the profound challenges such as terrorism, organized crime, and irregular migration across the English Channel. In a speech making President Emmanuel Macron's three-day state visit to the United Kingdom, Charles highlighted a summit between Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and French leader when the commentators expect the issue of small boats to the top of the agenda. The king also spoke of the growing environmental threat where the very future of the planet hangs in the balance, and the UK and France have a critical role to play.
Monsieur le Président, the summit that you and the Prime Minister will hold in London this week will deepen our alliance and broaden our partnership still further. Our armed forces will cooperate even more closely across the world, including to support Ukraine, as we join together in leading a coalition of the willing in defense of liberty and freedom from oppression. In other words, in defense of our shared values. Our technology experts will also collaborate even more deeply to determine how we harness.
And that's the end of the World Bulletin. Keep watching CVR News English.